Good morning, students. I am Dipankar Thakuria. So I'll be taking some lectures in the form of videos so that it becomes easy for you, all the students of both the sections, to follow up with the syllabus of disaster management. Okay. So before that, I want to ask you basically. So I hope all of you are doing well and you are very aware of what the situation is going on. So please be safe and stay away from the crowd and only go out when it is utmost necessary. Okay, otherwise you stay at home and follow the guidelines given by the government of India. Okay. So and yes, so the disaster, the different types of disaster. So this disease that is spreading is COVID-19. So it comes under the pandemic disasters. Okay, so since you are studying disaster management in this semester, so you must know under which category of disaster it is being uh, divided into. Okay, so we'll start with the subject. So in class we have already started the unit 5, that is landslides and floods. Okay, but here in this lecture I'll be covering little basics about the landslides, though I have given you some notes already, and I will be providing some more notes today, a little bit in details about the landslides and its important terms. Okay, you just got one picture of landslide, but those terms were not defined properly to you, but today in this class we'll be covering that part. Okay, so we'll be starting with the landslides. All right, so what is a landslide? So you are aware in the class lectures, so you know till now. Okay, this is already covered in class, so I'm just revising it a little bit. So what's a landslide? It is the movement of mass of rock. Okay, so it's the movement of mass of rock, debris, or down a slope. Okay, it is also called as mass wasting. Okay, so you can it's a type of mass wasting, but if anything regarding mass wasting is coming, okay, so you can relate that to a landslide. Okay, and obviously it's a downward downslope movement, okay, under the direct influence of gravity. So gravity here is the most important aspect that I have already informed you about. And then there was one more important aspect, that was the shear strength of soil. Okay, shear strength of soil. Okay, so you know that. So gravity and shear strength of soil is very important parameter. Okay, but gravity is directly related, or it directly influences the uh, influences in the failure of a mass of soil. Okay, so moving on, landslides can be initiated in slopes. Okay, already on the verge of movement by rainfall. Okay, snowball. Okay, so these are, I told you about initiators. Okay, so the initiators are those activities or events or those parameters in the environment which initiates a landslide. Okay, so that can be rainfall. Okay, excessive rainfall. It can be melting of snow, then changes in water level, then erosion. Okay, then volcanic activities, earthquake, and even by human activities also, or combination of all these factors. Okay, so these are the initiators. Okay, so these are initiators of a landslide. Okay, so then moving on, earthquakes. Okay, so there is a type of landslide which occurs under ocean, okay, or underwater. Okay, so that happens because of earthquake. Okay, so that type or that kind of landslide is called a submarine landslide. So this type of landslide occurs underwater. Okay, and submarine landslide sometimes causes tsunamis also. Okay, that damages the coastal areas. So I told you about that. If there is a tsunami, so that tsunami may not always be because of an earthquake. Okay, so that can be because of a landslide also. All right, so that landslide which causes that tsunami is called a submarine landslide, which occurs underwater. Okay, and also the term landslide is it encompasses 5 different types. Okay, so those are falls, topples, slides, spreads, and flows. So we'll discuss each one by one in details, and I'll provide the notes also. Okay, so we'll go to the next part. Okay, all right. So this is the typical diagram of a landslide. So what happens when there is a failure of the soil mass? Okay, so you see there are some terms, certain terms. Crown. So what is a crown? So it's the practically undisplaced material still in place and adjacent to the highest parts of the main scarp. Okay, so it is the undisplaced part, okay, or the undisplaced material which always stays in place. Okay, so that is known as crown. Alright, so what is main scarp? After that you see the word main scarp. Okay, what is a main scarp? It's a steep surface on the undisturbed ground. So this part is disturbed. Okay, so this has already failed. Okay, so this part is the failure part. So there is some undisturbed soil that is there, okay, which is supporting this part. So this is the undisturbed soil. Okay, so this is undisturbed soil. Okay, so what is the main scarp? This is a steep surface on the undisturbed ground. This is the undisturbed ground at the upper edge of the landslide. So it is always at the upper edge of the landslide and it is on the undisturbed ground. Okay, then there is minor scarp. Okay, so where is, yes, so this is minor scarp. Okay, so after that you have, okay, sorry, you have head also. Okay, so what is the head? The upper parts of a landslide along the contact between displaced material. Okay, so along the contact, so head is the upper, it's always these three are at the uppermost parts of the landslide. So head is the upper parts of a landslide along the contact between displaced material and the main scarp. So this is the displaced material, so head, it is in contact with the displaced material and the main scarp. Okay, okay, so next is your minor scarp. Okay, so next is your minor scarp. So what's a minor scarp? Okay, a steep surface on the displaced material of the landslide produced by differential movements within the displaced material. So see now, just a moment. So this is the displaced soil, okay, the displaced mass. So within this displaced mass there can be some differential movements. Okay, there can be some movements occurring within the displaced material. Okay, so what is a minor scarp? A steep surface on the displaced, so there will be a steep surface developed on this, within this displaced material. Okay, so that is produced by differential movement of different layers within this failed part. Okay, so that is called as your minor scarp. Okay, so I'll give you one picture where you will be able to properly identify it. Okay, then comes the main body. Okay, the main body of the landslide. Okay, so this is the main body of the landslide. This is the part of the displaced material of the landslide that overlies the surface of rupture between the main scarp and the toe of the surface of rupture. Okay, so this is the surface of rupture. Okay, it overlies the surface of rupture, okay, between the main scarp. Okay, what is, where is, okay, sorry, so this is the surface of rupture. Okay, and this is the main scarp. All right, so it overlies the surface of rupture and the main scarp. Okay, sorry, between the main scarp and the toe of the surface of rupture. Okay, so this is basically, if I call it in normal terms, it is the actual body of the landslide or the mass of the soil which is failing. Okay, and it is generally between the main scarp and the toe of surface of rupture. Okay, so this is the main scarp and this is the toe of the surface of rupture. So this is the body. Okay, so this is the body, main body. It is always between these two. Okay, so that's a general, actually it's not, you may not see all those in all the types of landslide, but generally you will observe these things if a landslide is being evaluated properly. Okay, so then there is your surface of rupture. Okay, so this is your surface of rupture. Okay, the surface, it is also if you define it, so you can call it the surface which forms the lower boundary of the displaced material below the original ground. So this is the original ground. Okay, so is the lower, okay, the lower boundary. So this is the lower boundary above which there is the failed soil. Okay, failed mass is there, and this is the original soil. So this boundary is called as surface of rupture. Okay. So then foot, sorry, toe of surface of rupture. Okay, let me clear these things. Okay, so toe of surface of rupture, it is the intersection. Okay, so toe of surface of rupture, it is intersection. Okay, intersection of what? So it is the intersection between the lower part of the surface of rupture of landslide and the original ground. Okay, intersection between the lower part of surface of rupture of a landslide. So this is the lower part of surface of rupture. So this is the lower part of the surface of rupture of a landslide and original ground surface. So it's just intersection between the lower part of surface of rupture and the original ground. So this is okay. So let's go to this figure. Okay, this will be more clear here. See, original ground. Okay, so in this figure you can see this dotted part. Okay, this dotted part, actually there was soil. Okay, so this was completely covered with soil, but suddenly there, because of different initiators and gravity, there was a landslide. Okay, so hence because of that landslide, some soil mass failed. Okay, so this is the failed soil mass. Okay, so this mass of soil has failed. Okay, this mass of soil has failed, and below this mass of soil, failed soil, you will have your original ground. Okay, wait, below that mass of soil you will have, sorry, your undisturbed ground. So this is your undisturbed ground. Okay, so this was the red mark. Okay, this is your original ground. Okay, the original soil. Okay, then there was a initiator of landslide. So because of that initiator, so this mass of soil failed. Okay, so marked by the blue. Okay, so this mass of complete mass of soil, okay, it failed. Okay, which is marked by these blue lines, and then below that you will have an undisturbed ground. Okay, here there is no sign of any landslides. Okay, so this is what happens. Okay, so we'll move to the previous photo. So this is, so toe of surface of rupture, it is the intersection. Okay, intersection of what? Intersection of lowest part of the surface of rupture, okay, and the original ground surface. All right, then okay, again let me clear these things. Okay, so then we have foot and toe. Okay, so that is very important. So what is foot? What is foot? Foot is the portion of the landslide that has moved beyond the toe of surface of rupture. So this was the surface of rupture, toe of surface of rupture. Okay, so foot is the mass of soil which has moved beyond this surface of rupture. Okay, so this is the point of accumulation. So there is accumulation of soil here. So foot is the portion of the mass of soil, or you can even call it as the portion of the landslides which has moved beyond the toe of surface of rupture. Okay, so that is called as foot of a landslide. And what is the toe of a landslide? It is the lower, okay, usually curved margin of the displaced material of a landslide. Okay, it is the most distant from the main scarp. So toe is the last point. Okay, so it is most distant from the main scarp. Okay, and generally it is usually, okay, it is curved. Okay, usually generally it is curved. Okay, so that is, these are the main parts of a landslide. Okay, and there are some small, again some extra definitions are also there, like zone of accumulation, okay, zone of depletion, displaced material, then surface of separation. Okay, I think yes, there is surface of separation also. So what is surface of separation? The surface which forms the lower boundary of displaced material below the original ground surface. Okay, below the original ground surface there is a lower boundary of the displaced material is formed. Okay, so that is called a surface of separation. So these things, the most important ones are your crown, main scarp, head, okay, minor scarp, your body, surface of rupture, okay, toe of surface of rupture, foot, and then toe of the landslide. Okay, then there are again some more definitions. You'll obviously you'll find it in your notes. You can just go through it. Okay, like zone of depletion, what is zone of accumulation, okay, then surface of separation, okay, I have explained it here. Then depleted mass is also there. So these are secondary terms, but the most important terms I have marked here. Okay, so the most important terms in a landslide, okay, let me show you once again. Okay, so this crown, okay, crown is very important, main scarp, head, minor scarp, okay, then your body, main body of the landslide, your surface of failure, okay, the toe of surface of failure, then foot, okay, and then this toe of the landslide. Okay, then you'll again these are the main things to remember. Okay, then there are again some things which you'll be getting in full in your notes. Okay, okay, so moving on. Okay, so this I have already explained. So this was the original layer of soil. Okay, the soil was still here, and then there was a initiator of a landslide somewhere, because maybe a rainfall is there or volcanic activity or earthquake. So this failed. Okay, so this failed, and below that you will see a undisturbed ground, okay, which is still yet to fail. Okay, so this is what this diagram is showing. Okay, so moving on. Okay, so these were the important definitions. Okay, crown is discussed. Okay, partially undisplaced material still in place and adjacent to the highest parts of the main scarp. Okay, so what's the main scarp? Steep surface of the undisturbed ground at the upper edge of a landslide caused by the movement of the displaced material. Okay, then you will see the top. Okay, if there is head minus scarp, you can just go through it. Okay, you can pause the video and you can just go through it. Okay, read it and you can note it down. Okay, this is just small definitions. Okay, main body I have explained. What's the main body? I have explained. What's the foot? Okay, then toe and tip is also there, the point of the toe farthest from the top of the landslide. So what is the top of the landslide? Okay, see, crown and main scarp, they are generally at the top of the landslides. Okay, so so the toe is actually the most distant from the main scarp. Okay, and what is the tip? The tip of the toe, actually tip is related with toe only. The tip of the toe is the farthest point from the top of the landslide. That means the farthest point from the crown or the main scarp. Okay, it is, the tip lies in the toe. Okay, they are not separate. The tip usually lies on the toe. Just consider it as your foot. Okay, in your foot you can see there is toe and there is tip. Okay, so tip is within that toe. Okay, then you will get surface of rupture. You can pause the video and obviously go through it. Okay, one by one, or you can note it down. Okay, you will get all these definitions, and zone of accumulation also there. Okay, depletion, depleted mass. Okay, basic theory you can go through. Okay, we'll hurry up. Okay, so next. Okay, so now see, this is a small example that I wanted to show you. Okay, see here, this was the original ground. Okay, so the original ground was covering this area. Okay, so original ground was covering this area. Then there was initiator of the landslide, and because of that initiator the soil mass failed. Okay, the shear strength of the soil, it got lessened. Okay, so because of that the soil failed. Okay, so here you can see crown. Okay, so the crown is this top surface, okay, which is undisturbed. Okay, still undisturbed. Then there you will see the main scarp. Okay, it is the steep surface on the undisturbed ground. So what is the undisturbed ground? Undisturbed ground is your crown. Okay, so the steep surface on the undisturbed ground is called as the main scarp. Okay, and this is caused by the movement of displaced material away from the undisturbed ground. So there is a movement of displaced material, so this soil mass is displaced. So because of this displacement away from the original mass or origin or the undisturbed soil, hence you are getting or you are forming a main scarp. Okay, then okay, see here you can see foot. Okay, so what is a foot? Okay, foot is the portion of the landslide that has moved beyond the toe of surface of rupture. Okay, so if I go to the previous diagram, so beyond this, so this was the toe of surface of rupture. So foot, okay, this is the foot. It has moved beyond the surface of rupture where accumulation is taking place. Accumulation of what? Accumulation of the failed soil mass, okay, or rock mass or the debris. Okay, so here see the foot. Okay, it's the accumulation. Okay, and it is beyond the toe of the surface of rupture. Okay, not the toe of the landslide. There is difference. Toe of the surface of rupture and toe of the landslide. Okay, so this is beyond the toe of the landslide. Okay, and there you will find your toe. Okay, toe of the landslide, and the tip. So tip is what? Tip is in within this toe itself, but it is the farthest. Okay, the farthest point. Okay, farthest point from the top of the landslides. Okay, so you can observe clearly in this diagram. Okay, okay, so moving on. See some crown cracks in the diagram you have seen. Some crown cracks are formed. Okay, so this is formed here, there. Okay, so some cracks in the crown will be formed. Okay, when there is sudden landslide takes place. Okay, because crown is still the undisturbed material or undisturbed ground. Okay, so ground, whenever there is landslide, so there will be cracks develop along the crown. Okay, all right, all right. So I hope it is clear till now. Okay, so I'll be moving on to the next topic. Okay, so classification. Okay, so now landslide. Okay, so there are some activities of landslide. Okay, so what? So okay, so there are some activities of a landslide. So discuss about the activities. Okay, so there are some activities. So what is an activity? Condition in which things happen or being done. Okay, so things happen, or rather conditions in which things are happening. Okay, or things happen. Okay, okay, so this is what activity means. All right, so in landslides also there are some different types of activities. Okay, so what we will study in this topic is classification of the states of activities. Okay, so activities, we'll study about the states of activities. Okay, then we'll study about the distribution of that activity. Okay, distribution of the activity, and finally styles of activity. Okay, and finally styles of activity. So these three things will be covered. Okay, in this topic: styles, states of activity, distribution of activity, and styles of activity. So what is activity? It's a condition in which things happen. So within a landslide, so whenever there is a landslide, so there are different activities that goes on in that particular area. Okay, so when a landslide begins or just then initiator is there, so it's just about to begin, so there are different activities. Okay, so each activity you are having some types. Okay, so we'll study those one by one. Okay, all right. So first is your classification of states of activity. Okay, so the first was one, your states of activity. So we'll classify the states of activity. Okay, so first here is your active. Okay, what's an active landslide? An active landslide is currently moving. Okay, so that means there is movement. Okay, so it is currently active, so that is called as an active landslide. Okay, so this is not there in this part, cut this part. Okay, all right, so that is called as an active landslide. What is suspended? Now second is a suspended landslide. What is a suspended landslide? So these are not the types. Okay, these are not types of landslides. Okay, these are the activities of a landslide. Okay, so in a landslide or whenever there is a landslide, there are some activities along with it. So these are the types of those activities. Okay, or the classification of the states of activities. All right, these are not the types of landslides. All right, so for the suspended landslide, okay, a suspended landslide is a landslide which has moved within the last 12 months. Okay, but it is not active at present. So it is not active at present, but it has shown some movement, okay, in the last 1 year. Okay, so or 12 months. So that is called as suspended. It is suspended for the time being, but there is some movement observed in the last year. Okay, so that is called as your suspended landslide. Then reactivated landslide. So what is an reactivated landslide? It is an active landslide which has been inactive. Okay, a reactive landslide is an active landslide which has been inactive. So what is an active landslide? Active landslide is a currently moving landslide. Okay, but reactivated means it's an active landslide, but at this moment it is inactive. It is in the state of inactiveness. Okay, so that is called as reactivated. Okay, so it may be reactivated or it may be activated in near future, but currently it's inactive, but it is an active landslide. Okay, it is active, but current at this moment there is no movement. Okay, it may move in like tomorrow, day after tomorrow, but at this stage it is not moving. Okay, so that is reactivated. And finally is inactive. Inactive has 4 parts. Okay, so what is an inactive landslide? That has not moved within the last 12 months. So in the last 1 year this type of landslide has not moved. Okay, so there are 4 types of inactive landslide. So one is your dormant. What is dormant? Dormant landslide is inactive landslide which can be reactivated by its original causes. Okay, so it is sleeping. Okay, dormant, you can say it's sleeping. Okay, so that landslide is currently inactive, but it can be reactivated. Okay, so let's say there is in an area there a landslide is taking place because of heavy rainfall. Okay, so suddenly that landslide became inactive because of some different conditions. Okay, or because of less availability of rainfall, that landslide has become inactive. So that landslide will be in a dormant state. Okay, because since there is less rainfall, but whenever there will be a rainfall on the coming months, then again suddenly that landslide will be activated. Okay, and it can only be activated by the original cause. So the original cause in this case was the rainfall. So whenever there will be heavy rainfall, again that type of landslide will be reactivated. Okay, so those type of landslide is called as dormant landslides. Okay, so then coming to the abandoned landslide. What is an abandoned landslide? An abandoned landslide is a inactive landslide. Obviously these are the types of inactive landslides, so there will be all will be inactive in the state of inactiveness. Okay, it's an inactive landslide which is no longer affected by its original causes. Okay, so dormant, I told you, a landslide which is happening because of rainfall, but now there is no rainfall, so it is sleeping, it is in dormant state. Whenever there will be rainfall, again this will start. Okay, so it will start by its original causes. What is an abandoned landslide? It is an inactive landslide, but it is not affected by its original causes. Okay, so it can again be started by any other initiator, maybe an earthquake. Okay, it's not dependent on its original causes. Okay, it's no longer affected with by the original causes. Okay, so let's say a landslide is happening because of heavy rainfall. Okay, then rainfall stopped, the landslide also stopped. but the next time that landslide can again gets reactivated by an earthquake. Okay, not by its original cause, that is rainfall. It can be activated by an earthquake. So if that happens, so that the landslide that has been reactivated by that earthquake, so that landslide will be called as abandoned landslide. Okay, and then there is stabilized landslide. A stabilized landslide is an inactive landslide which has been protected from its original causes by remedial measures. So as civil engineers, to prevent the or to for preventive measures of landslide, which we'll be studying in this unit only. So there are various structural and non-structural measures. So we use some structural measures to increase the stability of the slopes. Okay, for a hilly region, and then we use some spikes and all those things we will be using. Okay, so those things are structural measures to prevent the or to prevent the cause of the lens or to prevent the occurrence of the landslide rather. Okay, so what is a stabilized landslide? The landslide which is inactive. Why it is inactive? Because it has been protected, means it has been stopped. Okay, it has been stopped and it is protected. How it is stopped? It is stopped by using some remedial measures. So as a civil engineer, some remedial measures are being given to that particular slope in order to prevent landslide. Okay, so that landslide is inactive because of these remedial measures. So once these remedial measures they fail, then that landslide can again trigger. Okay, so that is called as stabilize. The landslide is stabilized or suppressed currently. Okay, by remedial measures. Relict. What is a relict landslide? It's inactive landslide developed under climatic or geomorphological conditions considerably different from those at the present. So in the past, maybe a landslide has occurred because of some climatic and geomorphological conditions, but now considerably now at this present moment, there may not be those same climatic conditions. Okay, so that is inactive now. Okay, which was developed because of the earlier climatic conditions. Okay, different from the present. Okay, so that is called as your relic landslides. All right, so these are the different classification of the states of activity of landslides. Okay, so moving on to the next topic. Okay, distribution of the activity of landslides. So this is very important actually, very important topic. All right, so next moving on to the distribution. So these are, you can just go through it, you can pause the video and you can have a look, you can go through it. I'll be also giving you the notes. Okay, you can just, what is an advancing landslide? Okay, advancing landslide is a rupture of surface extending in the direction of movement. Okay, so if I draw this diagram, okay, so this is main body. Okay, so the landslide is extending in the movement. Okay, so this soil mass is flowing this way. Okay, so what's an advancing landslide? In an advancing landslide, the rupture surface. Okay, so this is the rupture surface, so this will be extending in the direction. So soil mass is moving this side, so this will also be extending this side. Okay, so that is what advancing landslide is. Retrogressive landslide. Okay, what is retrogressive landslide? It is opposite. Okay, just remember, it is the opposite to the advancing. Okay, so the rupture surface, this rupture surface is extending in the opposite to the movement of the displaced. So if the movement of the displaced material is, this side, okay, then the rupture surface, okay, then the rupture surface will extend the opposite side, this side. Okay, this material is moving this side, but the rupture surface is extending this side. Okay, so that is called retrogressive. Okay, retrogressive. Then enlarging. What is an enlarging landslide? The rupture surface of the landslide is extending in two or more directions. Okay, so if the rupture surface extends in two or more directions, either this way or this way, both the way. Okay, so that is called as enlarging. Okay, diminishing. What is next? Diminishing. What is diminishing? The volume of the displaced material is decreasing. Okay, the volume of the displaced material, so this is the displaced material, so with distance the volume of the displaced material will go on reducing, so that is called as diminishing. Okay, and confined. there is a scarp but no rupture surface visible at the foot of the displaced material. Okay, then moving on, you just go through it once. Okay, you're able to understand very easily. It's not a very difficult topic. Okay, then last is widening. In widening landslide, the rupture surface is extending into one or both flanks of the landslides. Okay, all right. Okay, I hope it is clear. All right, so you can ask me doubts also in your concern WhatsApp group. If you have any doubts, you can go through it in your notes. You can even pause the video and you can study. Okay, all right. So last is your styles of landslide activity. Okay, so this is how your the thing is, what is activity is the happening of a particular event. Okay, so that the way or the style in which that event happens. Okay, so there are again 5 types. All right, so complex, composite, successive, single and multiple. Okay, so what is a complex? A complex landslide exhibits at least 2 types of movement. Okay, so there will be at least 2 types. So in one single landslide there will be 2 types of movement. Okay, so these are the various types. Okay, it's already given to you in your notes, but again I will, maybe tomorrow, day after tomorrow, I will again make a video lecture for you regarding the types of landslides. So there I will cover all these landslides. Okay, all these movements. So in complex landslide, it exhibits at least minimum 2 movements of landslides will be there together. Okay, at least 2. Composite, what is a composite landslide? It exhibits at least 2 types of movement happens simultaneously. Okay, so what happens, the difference, now see the difference between complex. You can say it is also exhibiting 2 types, it is also exhibiting 2 types. Then sir, where is the difference, right? So difference is this sequence simultaneously. So in complex landslide, what happens, the 2 different types, let's say falling and toppling. Okay, so there is falling and toppling happening in a particular landslide, but this will happen in sequence. Okay, one after the other. So in the first sequence there will be falling, and in the second sequence there will be toppling. Okay, but in composite landslide, this toppling and falling are taking place simultaneously. Okay, there is no 1 no 2. In one reaction both 1 and 2 are taking place. So simultaneously it is taking place in composite, and here it is taking place in sequence, one after the other. Here one after the other, and here it is in simultaneous section. Okay, then comes to successive. So what is successive landslide? A successive landslide is the same type as a nearby earlier landslide but does not share displaced material or rupture surface with it. Okay, so successive landslide, what is successive landslide? Same type of landslide as a nearby earlier landslide but does not share the displaced material. So let's say one type of landslide is taking place in this area, other type of landslide is taking place in this area, and they are happening, or they are occurring, uh, they're occurring because of the same movement. Okay, but what will happen is that they will not share the displaced material. That means the displaced material of this landslide, okay, or rupture surface of this landslide is not same with the rupture surface and the displaced material of this landslide, though their action of or the activity of landslide is same, or the movement of landslide is same. Let's say in this area 1 there is slide landslide is taking place. Again in area 2 there is slide type of landslide is taking place, but their surface of rupture of area 1 and the surface of rupture of area 2 is different, it's completely different, it is not same, and the failed material, okay, is also not same. That is what successive, in successive sequence this is taking place, there is no sharing. Okay, then comes to single. What is a single landslide? Single landslide is a single movement of this displaced material. Okay, so it's very easy. And a multiple landslide shows repeated development of the same type of movement. So in an area, let's say you have area 1. Okay, so in area 1 throughout the year there will be only one type of movement, so that will be repeating. Okay, let's say there is a landslide, the type of movement is slide. Okay, slide landslide is taking place for this, so repeatedly throughout this time period, let's say in 1 year there are total number of 5 landslides. taking place in this area 1. Okay, so these all the 5 landslides will be because of this single movement or single uh, type of landslide movement. Okay, so that is what multiple landslide is. Okay, repeated development of the same type of movement, right? Okay, so the last topic for today is velocity. Okay, so this is a classification scale proposed by, you can see here, it is proposed by Cruden and Varnes. Okay, proposed by Cruden and Varnes in 1996. Okay, so what it shows, you see, velocity is given. Okay, so velocity millimeter per second. Okay, so it is given. All right, so if you see this millimeter per second, okay, here extremely slow. Okay, extremely slow in description. You can see the class. Okay, class 2, class 3, class 4, class 5 up to class 7. Okay, and you can see extremely slow, very slow to extremely rapid. Okay, and you can see the velocity, okay, in the of extremely rapid landslide. It is 5 into 10 to the power 3, okay, millimeter per second. Okay, so and then you can see the probable destructive significance of that particular landslide also. Okay, so this is given by Cruden and Vance. So if your landslide is moving at a speed of 5 into 10 to the power minus 7 millimeter per second, okay, then you see what is the probable destructive significance. Okay, interceptible without instruments, construction possible with precautions. Okay, very simple, because this is extremely slow. Then very slow, some permanent structures undamaged by the movement. Okay, some permanent structures are undamaged, but some small structures may be damaged. Okay, then slow, remedial construction can be undertaken, okay, during movement. Alright, then you come to moderate. Okay, temporary and incidental structures can be temporarily maintained. And rapid, okay, escape evacuation possible, structures you can evacuate. If there is a landslide, you can evacuate. Okay, so sudden, see, landslide is a sudden movement, so sometimes what happens, people may not be able to evacuate from their house, and then there can be landslide. But in this rapid, if the movement is rapid, then you can at least evacuate. Okay, very rapid, lives are lost, velocity is great to permit all persons to escape. See here, there is no, people cannot evacuate. If the landslide is very rapid, okay, suddenly it will happen or arrive, and then they cannot evacuate also. Okay, and last is the catastrophe major landslide. Okay, so you can refer this, there is a link also given. Okay, and I will be providing you the notes of this along with the link for the video lecture. You can go through the video lecture, and then you can read the notes also. Okay, so thank you for cooperating, and I hope you guys are studying at home. Okay, your study should never be hampered. Okay, outside condition, okay, there is COVID-19, the case is already, the pandemic is still going on. Okay, so you be safe. Okay, stay at home, but as a student you should never miss your studies. Okay, so you should continue your studies, because at the end you have to appear, you have to for the final semesters, and then you'll get the degree also. Okay, so your studies should never hamper. So whatever doubts you have, you can contact me in the concern group. Okay, so thank you once again for cooperating, and I hope you keep on studying and getting scoring high in your exams. Okay, thank you.